Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. And together, we turn great ideas into reality by accessing our networks, our experience, and the best of ourselves to make a difference. Around the world, Rotary brings leaders together to build new friendships and to solve problems. Like in Austria, where generations work side by side to come up with innovative ways to build sustainable housing and community centers, everyone learning from each other. In India, volunteers run a mobile blood bank to help provide a steady blood supply for their local community. And in Taiwan, people are working hard to get vulnerable citizens the support and services they need. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. In your backyard and around the world, there's power in our connections. Take action with us. Find out more at Rotary.org.
And welcome to the Rotary Club meeting for February 1st, 2023. That's
Try this for
oh, we
15
gotta
seconds.
stop these YouTube people. I had it on auto stop at any rate. Hey, so I'm the president, Raymond Foster of the Rotary Club of San Dimas, the meeting for February 2nd, 2023. We have a lot going on again at this meeting, which is kind of cool. I want to tell everybody that, okay, so we have the exercise coach, plain right there and simple, but today is the start of our fundraiser that supports the food drive for 29 Palms Marine Corps Base. What most people don't know is that 22,000 active duty military families, 213,000 National Guard reservists, and more than 1.2 million veterans suffer from food insecurity. The Satellite Rotary Club of Military Family Support, which is an offshoot of the Rotary Club of San Dimas, is tackling that problem. And this on March 11th, they have a food drive, and the goal is to raise 5 tons of food. Well, we have launched a fundraiser to support that food drive because there are costs, and it is digital donuts. That's right, digital Krispy Kreme donuts. And so every dozen donuts that you buy, you just go to your local Krispy Kreme and pick it up, and that project will get half of the cost, 50%. So that's pretty good. And I will tell you today, we just began, and I got a call from a Marine Corps League detachment in Pensacola, Florida, who wanted to know what the heck that was all about. And so hadn't even been live for 6 hours, and we already reached all the way across the country. Pretty exciting stuff. Tonight for the Satellite Club, their meeting is Veterans Last Patrol. That will be at 6 o'clock. That is a hybrid meeting. It's both online and in person. In person, High Point Brewery here in San Dimas, online via Zoom. And Veterans Last Patrol will have Colonel Claude Schmidt come in. And the colonel's a retired U.S. Army officer. And what they do is they pair veterans with veterans in hospice. And so the veteran is in hospice, is on their last patrol. And as they pass away, they are paired with the veteran, and they tell stories and create a friendship, and they help them as they pass away. Next thing I want you to know is we have a board meeting coming up next week. Please be there. We have decisions to make and things to do. So let's go around the wheel with the people who have come into the room. Steve Scott. Tell everybody who you are and why you're such a great guy.
That'll be quick. I'm not sure if I'm a great guy or not, but hi, everyone. My name is Steve Scott. I've been a Rotarian now for, I believe, 12 years. I'm the current treasurer, president-elect, and I am a State Farm agent in San Dimas.
I see you caught one of the things why you're a great guy. That's that you are president-elect. That makes you fantastic. And then what makes you doubly fantastic is you wiggled out of pets and you got us a refund of nearly $700. That's pretty cool.
Indeed.
Well, let's move over to Glenn Johnson. Glenn, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. This is Glenn Johnson. I'm a member of the Satellite Rotary Club.
And Mike Wallace.
Hi, everyone. Mike Wallace. I am the president of Better Home Financial, downtown San Dimas. I've been a Rotarian for coming up on 8 years now, past president, and I'm just happy to be here.
Excellent. It's good to see you, Mike. So as people come in, Jennifer, we will we'll introduce them after your presentation, because I am very interested in hear your presentation. In case you need it, screen share is enabled. Jennifer Smith is the owner and a certified trainer at the exercise coach, Claremont and Glendora. She transitioned from a corporate career to a business ownership during the pandemic to help all ages and abilities experience the benefit of strength training. In her presentation, she will explain the science of strength and how muscle is critical to living and aging well. She grew up in Southern California as a mother and wife and plays pickleball and rides mountain bikes. The exercise coach helps people build strong muscles and enjoy stronger health to become their strongest self in just 2 20-minute workouts per week. They believe in strength changes, that strength changes everything. In such a technologically advanced era, too many people feel far from fit and healthy. And at the Exercise Coach, their passion is to be the perfect fit for people that conventional fitness wisdom has failed. This includes people that are busy, sick of gyms, or concerned about physical limitations or getting hurt. Using proprietary machines powered by artificial intelligence, their coaches guide clients through data-driven workouts that optimize safety, effectiveness, and efficiency. In fact, they have helped clients get results that matter most to them with just 2 20-minute workouts per week. They have over 200 studios across the US and Japan and help everyone from exercise enthusiasts to exercise-averse get maximum results in minimum time. Well, welcome to the meeting. We're all excited to hear about sarcopenia.
Awesome. All right, so I'm up then right now?
You are.
Good. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that introduction. That was great. Let me get this screen share up and running. And why doesn't just that whole thing work? Okay. Great. Okay, can you see the presentation now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It looks like I might not be able to see the screen while I'm doing this. I'm sure there's a way to do it. So I won't see you. So if you want to ask any questions, throughout, just, speak up and say, Jen, I have a question. Totally fine with a little interactive mode during the presentation. And so I'm going to talk about the science of strength, why muscle matters. Give you a little bit of just more background on the presentation itself, right? All the data I have is based off of the latest, scientific data and research all around strength training. None of that started, it's out there. If you look, there's been some great articles in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, AARP, right? Talking about strength training and what it does for you. So the exercise coach is taking that information that's out there, and we try to put it in a way that can help people, execute and see the benefit of strength training in their lives. So I want to start off with a few ideas, because some, when I talk to people and I work with people, some have some great awareness about strength training. Some, maybe don't. But generally, a lot of people can say, hey, I don't feel as strong as I used to. That's usually a common thing. So one of the quotes I have, muscle to a far greater extent than most people realize is responsible for the vitality of their whole physiological apparatus. And I would even add also the mental benefit as well, based off my experience. The second thing, again, a lot of research coming out, is that muscle mass should be looked as a new vital sign. A vital sign, commonly you get measured, right? You go to the doctors, you get measured cholesterol, blood pressure, BMI, right? But, muscle mass should be right on that top of that list as something that we're looking at. The next thing, really, like this one, if exercise could be packed into a bill, it would be the single most widely prescribed and beneficial medicine in the nation. And I've seen that firsthand, right? A lot of people are like quick to go to the, get some sort of medicine for whatever issue that they have. And then, but exercise itself could be the most beneficial and preventative for a whole host of reasons. So, but, right, here's the but. Only 1 in 5 Americans get the recommended 150 minutes of strength and cardio. activity per week. And some, especially with COVID, this even exacerbated it, right? More than half of all baby boomers report doing no exercise whatsoever. And, on top of that, only 1 in 5 actually have a gym membership. And even then, who is going and are they getting a meaningful workout? Here's all the reasons I hear every day, right? Oh, I don't have enough time. Maybe I have some sort of physical limitation, right? I'm afraid to work out. I don't like the gym. It smells. It's dirty. There's, a lot of people that I don't relate to there. I'm not an exerciser. Another thing, a lot of people sometimes, and it's out there, I get it, focused on quantity, like, hey, I got so many steps a day, right? Or, I climbed the stairs, or I was somewhat active. I stood all day, right? Versus necessarily a quality of a effective workout. They're deconditioned. It's hard to get started when you haven't been doing it in a while, or maybe, I have a lot of clients who've never done any sort of strength training. So they're just not sure what to do. And then the last thing, right, it's again, some sort of pre-existing injury or just a fear of injury. They had maybe a bad experience in the past, or, they have some sort of aches, recurring chronic pain. So these are all the reasons I hear. But there are solutions, and I'm going to talk, and it's better, and when I talk to the presentation, to find a solution that works. It's use it or lose it. So now I'm going to talk about, the topic. Have you ever heard of sarcopenia? So has anybody on the call ever heard of this term? No? Yes. Yeah, great. Great. Probably it's also in the presentation. So that was or the invite for the meeting today. So great. So sarcopenia is basically age-related skeletal muscle loss, right? And I'm going to show some information about what that looks like. Okay. So on the top is what would be usual aging, right? So the white, this is a quadricep, MRI quadricep, a cross-section of a quadricep. The dark area on the top represents muscle, and the white area on the bottom is like fatty tissue, adipose tissue. So, given if you were taking that same snapshot, maybe someone that's 30, right, you would see a lot more of that muscle area than the white. So at the bottom is someone, again, they're 70, but they've been doing some sort of meaningful strength training. You can see, hey, there's a lot more muscle present versus the fat. So what this tells, right, the top, if you aren't doing any strength training, that's the typical, results. But at the bottom, the possibility is you can maintain that muscle, and you can get it back. So these are just some graphs of like what, a typical curve looks like. Typically, your bone density and muscle mass will peak at the age around age 30, in the 30s. At that point, if you aren't doing any sort of meaningful strength training to maintain that, you'll start to decline 1 to 3% a year, and it's you potentially even lose entire motor units as well, but not all of them. And then it doesn't start to maybe manifest itself. You start to feel it, some point, some people as early as 40s, some people not maybe until their, 60s, where that starts to actually feel it, physically, or it manifests itself again in some sort of disease. Okay, so the next graph, so drilling down, so you have this reduction in, muscle fibers, right, for lack of use. So drilling down a little bit more, there's actually 2 types of muscle fibers. So, and I want to go back a second. So your body is made of motor units. Your muscles are made of motor units. And in your motor units, there are thousands of muscle fibers. There are two different types of muscle fibers. So type 1 and type 2. So sarcopenia is specific to the decline in type 2 muscle fibers. And I'm going to explain what the difference are. So type 1 would be an example of a muscle that you use every day. It really is just like, it would be like a neck muscle. It's keeping your head up, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort to keep your head up. It's minimal effort to maintain those muscles. They don't take a lot of energy. Okay. So those actually usually maintain fairly well. But the second type, called a type 2 muscle fiber, right? Those are specifically what decline as a part of sarcopenia. And this is the muscles that actually, they take effort to maintain, and they actually generate force. They also consume a lot more of your calories, right? To maintain them. So an example might be, when you're pushing up from something, if you're pushing off a wall, right? Or pushing something very hard, right? You're using those type 2 muscle fibers. They also tire quickly. So they actually, if they have enough force against them, it takes about 1 to 2 minutes for them to get exhausted, right? And that's the muscles that start to decline that we want to focus on getting back into play and getting stronger again. So this is happening, right? What's the impact to you, and why is this important? So sarcopenia, this impact, it's just about your strength. It ends up impacting your endurance, balance, independence, and overall quality of life. And I'm going to explain a little bit more how that does that. So this strength loss, think of that strength as your, like your foundation. And so it's just your foundation is weakening, and it starts to do a couple different things. And I want to explain a little bit too. One, when your muscles store energy, and when you eat, it's called glycogen, right? When you use your muscles, then they release that energy, and it's just overall efficient use of your system. If those muscles are declining, right, when you're eating, it's not necessarily your food that you're consuming is not necessarily being used effectively. Further, right, and that leads, and I'll talk about it, that leads to the far right when I'm talking about slowed metabolism. So it increases the level of blood sugar. So again, muscles are not present when you eat. Rather than going to be stored as energy and glycogen, now you're increasing your blood sugar levels, and that will increase the level of insulin in your body, right? And then that leads to insulin resistance, which ultimately, kind of leads to prediabetes, is the best example. Also, decreased energy, right? Your muscles store that energy for use. Now you don't have them accessible to use to do, your daily life, or when you need them available to you. Structural support. Look at that think back to that cross section of that thigh, right? When you have a lot more muscle present, it's going to help with your balance, your posture, versus having a lot of fatty tissue. And then the last thing leads to, weakened cardiovascular health. So why do you think a lot of people probably in those 40s, 50s, hey, their blood pressure starts to go up, cholesterol, and et cetera. So I kind of talked a little bit this in the last slide just to explain. So if your muscles aren't available to you, right, they've declined, and you are, especially if you're consuming your nutrition maybe is not as optimal, and maybe you consume a lot of sugar, or sugar isn't everything, so it's hard not to. Rather than storing your nutrition in your muscles for energy for you to use, your body ends up storing them as transferring that nutrition into triglycerides, right? Ultimately, that becomes fat, right? And that again contributes to your cholesterol being high, as well as potentially your increasing your A1C. So, and the last thing, again, tying together why this phenomenon is important to reverse. Again, when that going back to the high blood sugar levels, your body again releases insulin. It's a natural phenomenon to release insulin, but if it releases too much, right? Because it has nowhere to store what you're eating. There's not enough muscles there to store. It'll actually cause your body to go into insulin resistance and inflammation. So when you think of inflammation, like inflammation is a source of a lot of different diseases. I brought up diabetes, heart attacks, cancers, etc. Alzheimer's. Even when I talk to a lot of people and they're like, oh, I just ache, or I'm trying all these different things, and I'm like, oh my God, strength training is going to help reduce your inflammation and feeling better every day. So I talked a lot, if you saw the last slide, the theme about how your body deals with sugar, how your muscles help with the overall, rounds of handling that sugar levels. The other thing that your muscles help with is your hormonal system. So the most recent research explained that muscle and fat are the largest endocrine organs, and they're in literal competition to be heard by the rest of your body. So an endocrine organ is your hormonal messaging system. It's your body sending messages throughout your body, of what to do. So your muscles send a message called myokine. Myokine messages help your body resist and reverse usual aging. In the meantime, fat sends a message called adipokines, and that contributes even more to inducing and accelerate usual aging. That's it's sending the message. Let's sit on the couch. Let's not move. Let's not go, right? But when you get your muscles starting to work, again, positive messages, and there's a lot of other, like I said, mental and physical benefits that come with that. So bottom line here is the quality of muscle is the lead domino in a lineup of biomarkers, right? Your muscle mass can help with your strength, can help with your body fat percentage, it can help with your blood sugar, bone density, etc. So you manage the first one, a lot of other things start to improve. So I'm going to switch a little bit to, the positive here. This trend can be reversed, and it can be done in just 2 20-minute workouts a week. And I talk about what good elements of good quality strength training, what's included in good quality strength training. So here's again the positive news. If you start at any age, any age. I have clients, I think right now the oldest is 87, as young as 14, that you can change this curve, you can change this phenomenon, and you can see results actually relatively pretty quickly if you're doing it, strength training correctly. Okay, right? Going back to this graph, we're trying to improve, we're focused on these type 2 fibers coming back and getting back into play. How do you do that? How do you get those type 2 muscle fibers, back in action? You give them what I call dose and adaptation, okay? And I also want to highlight that just moving, walking, or doing something is not enough. So the dose is called high effort strength training. You have to be willing to put enough force that, a safe amount of force, but enough force that's going to cause your body to react and change. Okay. Another piece of that is also what I'll call eccentric activation. So not knowing your guys' background, and it's hard for me on the virtual call, but usually when you think of a lot of strength training, a lot of people are focused on the concentric movement. Let's say lifting up that dumbbell, right? Lifting it up, versus the eccentric would be when you're lowering it. So the more you can focus on not just the lifting of something, but how you slowly lower it, that's called eccentric activation. Okay. And then also high intensity interval training, getting your heart rate up out of the comfort zone, right? To get your body to adapt, right? But it doesn't have to be for long periods of time. I'll actually go to this first. We'll talk about that. So the eccentric loading, right? You're loading your muscles with force, and it causes your body to change. Okay. So in this example, this particular study, so in this study, right, the eccentric only group had 3.5 times the strength gains and 10 times the fast twitch muscle fiber area increase than the concentric only group in 12 weeks. In this particular study, they actually only worked out 1 time a week, right? And just when it says fast twitch muscle fiber, that is the same thing as a type 2 muscle fiber, just another term for that. So, yeah, so here I'm pointing out again, how do you just go to that concept, dose adaptation? How do you give your body enough dose to get it to adapt? Okay. Some things that matter are the intensity of effort, time under tension. You don't need to work, just 1 minute of intense exercise is enough to fatigue your muscles. Okay. Frequency. You don't need to work, let's say the 2 times. You don't need to work out every day. If you're doing it intense enough for the right amount of time, you actually need at least minimum of 24, maybe up to 72 hours to recover. And that's when your muscles actually are getting stronger. It's in that rest period. Supervision. If you can, trainers, they can help you get 30 to 40% more effectivity out of your program. And there's a few other elements that, going slow, speed. You don't need to go fast. Slow and is going to be more effective and safer. There's more information I do call out. We do have a white paper on our website. It just talks about each of these elements and how they work. What do they do? I'll touch one more, exercise selection. Working a bunch of muscles at the same time versus maybe just working one muscle group at a time. They can also be more effective approach, right? And the basis for a great program. Okay, so here's a success, right? Here's a lower back muscle, right? How many have lower back pain, right? It impacts a lot of everything. Okay, so the top, you see all that white tissue, that's that fatty tissue. And just 16 sessions later, you can see a really improvement in that strength, that dark area, right? So it can happen, very possible. All right. So muscle mass is the powerful engine that can restore and optimize your personal health and fitness. So many ways. I have so many stories, from mentally to physically, can result in a lot of benefits. All right. To summarize, right? Strength training is the key to stronger muscles, stronger health, and stronger self. And I lay the challenge to everybody that you can reverse sarcopenia.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it. I had some resources, and yeah, if you guys have questions, that's pretty much what I got.
Well, let's open it up for questions, because I'm certain there's got to be a few out there, because we've got a few people who are reasonably physically active. I'll start.
I got a question, Raymond.
Go ahead.
With respect specifically to the HIIT training you discussed, do you encourage doing that in strength training as opposed to when you're doing cardio?
Okay.
So for instance, I'll do HIIT classes like on the bike as opposed to when I lift.
So, okay, the guidance I provide is do strength training first,
Okay.
right? That's bottom line. Do strength training first. Anything, you've got to be cautious when, the hit, right? We'll say it's high, right? Basically, you're just getting your heart rate up, traditional
Right.
cardio, right? It's not going to still give you enough stimulus to cause that strength training to occur. You're going to get a cardiovascular benefit. You're going to necessarily burn calories, but you're still not going to, necessarily see your strength improve. In fact, you're going to put a lot more force on your body, which, may or may not be good.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And so to clarify for everybody who's not a guru like Steve, it is a high intensity training, usually alternate fast and then slow and then fast and slow for a short period of time. So high intensity training or high interval training, one of the two.
High intensity interval.
There you
Yeah.
go. It's 2 I's in HIT, which of course they didn't go to school. So
Yeah. So there's different modes there. So we do some, but we do it low impact and we do it very short, like 12 seconds to 30 seconds, but it's low impact and it's like the whole duration is maybe 2 to 4 minutes of the whole program. A lot of people out there do 45 minutes to an hour, an hour or 30 minutes. And maybe they're, doing, I don't know, burpees or wind sprints or, that type of interval training. And again, it gets your heart rate up and you're maybe burning some calories, but you're not
Good
developing
afternoon,
strength.
State Farm. This is Steve. May I help you?
Yeah.
So yeah, and so the short interval training, it sounds like the Tabata stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah. So that can work going back to if you're putting enough intensity, going back to the weight, you have to lift enough, essentially. If you're doing that and doing 1 pound like this, you can kind of see me, right? You're going really fast. When I was talking about the speed and you got these 1 pound weights, you're not doing anything.
No.
Right. So you've got to figure out where, usually it's a triangular, how much can you lift and you are tired in 1 to 2 minutes. That's the piece like that. And you're going slow, right? I got to take this background off so we can, but anyway, you're going slow and steady. And I was trying to describe here, it's a little better. So like if you're doing a shoulder press, since I can show this, right? I'm going to try, I don't have 1 pound. I'm going to try to put 20, 15, for me. And I'm going to go slow. So this is the concentric movement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't need to go all the way up, right? Because here I'm now using more of my bones, not my muscles aren't necessarily engaged. Okay. So here, starting here, muscles now are feeling this. I'm holding that weight. And I'm going to maybe go slow, right? That's weird that one. Anyway, and then I'm going to go slow down. That's the eccentric piece that I was trying to describe. Okay. So again, and then I'm going to try to do that for a minimum of 1 minute. And then I should be like the last one. Oh my God, how am I going to finish this last one? Right. That would be the target. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are there other questions? Do you encourage some diet changes for muscle building, like increase in protein or the use of creatine?
Yes. So one, fundamentally a couple things. After you hit around age 40, your body doesn't synthesize necessarily the protein that you're consuming as well. It starts to be more challenging. And yeah, when you're doing you're consuming all the energy, you have to rebuild. So you have to give the right fuel to rebuild. So recommend protein within 30 to 60 minutes after you exercise. Recommend protein with every meal. And also that's going to fill you up and you're not going to want to eat necessarily the other things I was talking about, like sugar, right? It's going to steer you away from the bad guys. So absolutely. Creatine, it's beneficial for sure. It helps you recover. I don't take, my husband takes it. I don't take it. I was looking into it. Yeah, but I do the protein. I do recommend other things, fish oil, vitamin D. And again, trying to steer as much away from sugar and processed carbs as possible. Because that, going back to that graph, I was showing you the muscle and the sugar, right? Every time processed carbs, sugar, they're just going to go straight to be triglycerides, right? And that's going to increase your cholesterol. Yeah. So.
Other questions?
Raymond, you're still on share screen, just so you know.
Just
And the other thing I would add, if you haven't been to the exercise coach, just it's not a question for Jen, but it's a pitch for the exercise coach. Go check it out. I happen to have a couple of sessions that I've already pre-bought. I'll share them with you. But Jen will give you 2 for free. But in general, it's a very different workout experience than anything you've ever done if you haven't done the exercise coach. So let's go do it together. I enjoy it. It's good. I'm going to be coming back, Jen. It is well.
do we have other questions? Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. I really enjoyed the presentation. It was very informative. And I think we would love to see you back anytime you have an update on your exercise coach stuff you've got going on. We really enjoyed the presentation.
Yeah, no problem. I would, I leave to, there's so many resources out there. I just not, might have one methodology, but there's, some great trainers out there. The elements I showed you should give you what you should be looking for.
Right.
If someone's making you just run and jump around, right, and making you sweat, it doesn't mean it's good. I mean, okay. So you're looking for the elements, and then your form is correct. And yeah, look for those elements. I would, one last thing, just, I put it out there is starting March 1st, I actually will be accepting United Healthcare's Renew Active program /Optum. So it's really now there's no excuse, right? If you have that, that program. So come on down.
Very cool. Thank you so much again for being here. And we're going to go over to our fine master, who was late today. So I believe he probably should lead right off.
Yeah, I was late. I knew it. I was there's no good excuses. The more excuses I give, the more I'd have to pay. So I'm finding myself $10 to simply say I was 10 minutes late. That's $1 a minute. But it is good. So, but I have been to the exercise coach. So I'm going to credit myself back $3 of those dollars.
All right, so that's a $7 fine, as I understand it. Okay, very good. Other fines? Are you really fine, master? Get going there.
Did we find each other because it's fine, it's not fine? You want to get on a soapbox and talk about what's not fine what's going on in your lives? We want to hear from each other. Mike, how's things going in this mortgage industry?
Very slow. It's a difficult environment, but I think anybody in the mortgage industry either knew or should have known that this was coming. Rates can't stay in the 2s and 3s forever, and there was a time where every single person I talked to should refinance their mortgage, and we are past that time. So now it's kind of a reset in the market, and catching the next wave, preparing and being ready when the environment improves.
Very cool.
We will pass on a fine for you because the market is slow, but we will fine you extensively for every one of us that didn't refinance with you because you didn't ask.
Well, thank you, Casey. Let's go to a couple of things to roll before we talk about Action 360. I covered a lot of it, but we did do the 2026 committee meeting, which is the 250th anniversary celebration here in the city. It met last week. There was a lot of good movement on stuff, but I'm going to be bringing a couple of proposals to the board at the board meeting. We've been asked to do a couple of things because of the foundation. Secondarily, also, the school district, particularly the PTA, has reached out to us to assist them they want to run a raffle at a at a car show. Well, I don't know jack about car shows, but apparently in town we're the experts on raffles. And since I said no more raffles, they're asking if we would do one more, and they'll do everything. All we have to do is the paperwork. So we got to talk about that at the board meeting. Also, digital donuts. I know that not exactly exercise fuel, but a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts to help Marines and their families is a sacrifice. Diva did not show up. We are working on the fashion show coming up, and that fashion show we present will be supporting the domestic violence shelter House of Ruth. Meeting wise, tonight, Veterans Last Patrol at the Satellite Club. We have 27 members. Everybody's got to make one a week. They're 2 different times. Then we have next February 15th is Toastmasters. Then we will have homeless military veterans. Another interesting nonprofits contacted us. We'll hear from them the end of February. It's called Shoes That Fit. We have a leadership thing coming up called Performer Centered Approach. And then we've got a Battle of Midway and also annual Strike for Success at Chaparral High School. That'll bring us through the end of March. So we still got a lot of stuff going on, including RILA. And I know we got a couple of RILA guys here. Any update on that before we leave this stuff?
Nothing for you.
Okay, I know that
I haven't opened the application portal yet. Is that right?
Hold on, I'll check, Mike.
I believe they have.
Okay.
I believe that the application portal is open for RILA, because when I looked at it, and I sent you that link, I thought it was open, but okay.
I didn't hear any updates from the meeting. I think that was last week, that I was not a part of. And just if there was a deadline for the registration, I kicked out a flyer that we can disseminate. My question here is just, we need to secure our interact president to fill out the form. And then I know Sean over at SHAP has said he has a couple people that are interested. Ideally, we'll find one other person from San Dimas High, and we'll find 2 people from SHAP. We'll put the first 2 in for San Dimas to put them together, and then our 2 from SHAP will be the alternates. That's just my opinion on how it looks like we should run it this year. So really, ideally, it's getting our students signed up. So is the portal up, and what's our registration deadline?
It doesn't appear that it's up. I'm on DACDB right now. They still have TLC applications in the portal.
Yeah.
So it appears that our RILA apps aren't up. I know last time it took probably 10, 10 days after we had the Zoom call before the portal was open. And I think Raymond actually got notification and sent it out to everybody. So if he hasn't received that yet, then it's not up.
And I downloaded that flyer from the link that was sent over to me and sent that over to the San Dimas High School Interact Club president. So they do have that information, but once the portal is open, I will let them know, to submit the applications to us, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, did they perchance that DACDB training on RILA? Does anybody know if they put that in the training stuff? The archive up there?
Stand by. Hold on. Let me look.
Because if it's up in the archive, I think at least one of us ought to look at it, quite frankly. I mean, or there's 3 of you on the committee. Did Sean have the opportunity to go? Do we know?
I don't know. He said he was going to try to make it, but that was the last I heard.
I hadn't heard anything back. That's where we left it.
Would you guys mind reaching out to Sean? Somebody volunteer to do it and see if he went to the training?
I'll shoot an email.
Okay, and then if Casey, if he didn't, and we need to figure out this guy, I just don't want to miss the dates. That's all.
Right.
Okay, all right. That's all I had with the RILA. Calendar wise, we've gone over that. Anybody have anything else?
Just want to clarify that these digital donuts, they're real donuts, but the coupon and the ordering is digital.
Yes. So yeah. So yes, they're real donuts. And so hang on a minute. I'll take you to the damn thing here. It's really simple. Let me go. Here it is, right there. And I'm gonna go to share screen. Okay, so if you follow the link, you go to this webpage, San Dimas Rotary Foundation, help us reach our goal. And it has our, the Marine Corps and Rotary together. It has a little explanation of what we're doing. And then somebody down here can go get your dozens, and they basically first name, last name, how do you want, enter your email address, continue payments, you pay, and then you figure it tells you where to pick them up. For us, it's going to be pick them up over on Gladstone, and it's anywhere nationwide. Send the link everywhere because it's good anywhere there's a Krispy Kreme. The Pensacola, Florida guy was like, oh, we get these all the time, we'll do this. So we really need to spread this far and wide. Good question, Mike. They are real donuts, not digital. Yes.
In this clarification for me, we're not sending donuts to the military folks. We're buying our own donuts, but they get a contribution.
What happens is, well, the contribution will come to us, and then it'll come to our foundation. And then that money will be designated. We need money to run the food drive, and then we give money and, all kinds of things like that. So every dollar goes right to helping the food drive.
So our ideal client, or our ideal person is the person who already eats Krispy Kreme. They can just order their next batch through here. That makes more sense. Now I understand it.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody who wants to get a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts for their next, office meeting, order them here, and then you pick them up over on Gladstone like they normally would. There's no difference. I mean, the price is the same. The difference is we're going to get $7.50 or half of it.
I'm gonna order a bunch and send them over to the exercise coach.
There you go. Well, that's actually was my thought. We all should order a dozen and then drop them off at Jennifer's location.
And humorously, but conversely, if Jen and I could get the list of everybody who repeat orders, that would be great for us.
Well, what we could do is we could get a bunch of those donuts. If you buy, I tell you what, if Jennifer will buy like 10 dozen, I will drop them like breadcrumbs from any location all the way to the exercise coach. So yes, that's the preferred person.
I was going to say, if I'm going to have something, I'm going to have something a little bit more higher quality than Krispy Kreme. Anyway, it's all good.
I appreciate that also.
That's funny.
Anybody else before we go? All right, folks, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll see some of you this evening at the other meeting. Otherwise, next week. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.